Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games on this beautiful, no longer F around Friday. It's back to work Friday.
Back to business.
Yeah, back to business Friday. What a time that summer was. Joining me today is not only Philadelphia's #1 hockey beat writer, it is Charlie O'Connor. We also have Broad Street Hockey's own Kelly Hinkle to fly by herself with us. Finally, it seems as if it has been weeks.
100 years, yes.
It's probably been like 10 days.
Probably.
But
To use Jamie Drysdale's favorite unit of measurement of time, it's been a minute.
Okay.
It's been a minute.
I feel like I heard him on Flyers Daily today, and he might have said that a few times.
He likes that one.
Yeah.
I think it's a very California thing.
I was going to say, it seems like a very California surfer dude kind of way to perceive time.
This team,
I
just
know.
a whole bunch of freaking stoners.
I like it.
How is it down there, Chuck? Day two. Is it you meeting up with your old friends? You know, recess. You're catching up.
Sure, we can call them friends.
Yeah.
If you want.
How's it been since now falling back into your old routines?
It's been good. It's going to be nice when camp is done. Camp days are just a grind, especially now with the show, because they start earlier than practices do. They last longer than practices do. Now I'm doing the post-practice videos, and now we have the show. So I will very much be looking forward to when days don't begin at 8 a.m. and end at like 10 p.m. But for now, you know what? The players are dealing with the grind of the early portion of Tortorella camp, so I can deal with the grind of working 12-plus hour days for a week or two.
And to watch those post-practice videos, you don't have to do much. They're right here on this YouTube page. Look around for them. You'll find them. It's very simple. And Charlie's putting a decent amount of effort into them, as is Brenna. They're very good. So check it out. Hinkle.
Yep.
How's the world been out there? Like, what's it like? Where were you last? I think Boston was your last stop?
Yeah, I was in Boston earlier this week. Fenway, yeah. A couple of shows at Fenway.
Pearl Jam, real fun?
Yes, very good.
Okay.
The last 2 shows of the tour. Good
All
times.
right. Let's get down to business then.
Defeat the Huns. Come on, I had to. You set me up.
Let's get down to what we came here to do today. A lot of talk we did yesterday about who was out there, how they did in the death skate, all that stuff. We did not do the Tuomaala and Barkey update. They both still have not taken the ice, correct?
They have yet to take the ice this week. Well, Barkey has yet to take the ice, period.
Yeah.
Because he showed up still recovering from mono. He's doing better, but they're being very, very careful. The last we heard about him was Brent Flair on Sunday when we interviewed him, said that there was a chance he could be cleared for contact by the end of this week. So it is still Friday. Theoretically, the end of this week still counts tomorrow. He could be back on the ice tomorrow, but knowing the way I know the Flyers, they're going to be extra cautious with Barkey. So I would be surprised, honestly, if he ends up on the ice. I don't even think he was included on the camp roster if you look at that sheet. So my guess is they're just going to play it real safe. They'll send him back. All good. Tuomaala, though, is a little more interesting because Tuomaala obviously was part of rookie camp. He played in both rookie games, actually scored the game-winning goal in overtime in Saturday's rookie game. We interviewed him after Saturday's rookie game, seemed no worse for the wear. And then on Sunday, he wasn't on the ice. When we got back to Voorhees, Brent Flair said, day-to-day, nothing serious. Well, that was Sunday. He's not been on the ice. He has now missed the first 2 days of main camp. I do not think it is a serious injury, but clearly serious enough for day-to-day to become 1 week.
Holding out to force his way onto the NHL roster, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Or he's just going to go to Russia.
That's what guys do.
He's from Finland, though.
Yeah, but that's what guys do when they don't want to play for Danny Briere's Flyers.
Kolosava's Belarusian, as people keep reminding us.
True.
As if they're
keep
different
forgetting
places.
that, too.
They are different places, William.
It's like Finland and Sweden.
They're very different places.
Yeah, sure. It's like North Dakota and Canada
South
are
Dakota.
different places.
Well, if you were going to say North Dakota and South Dakota, then I would say, okay.
The lines don't exist, Charlie.
I am uncertain that those are actually not just one state with a haphazard line drawn across the middle. But Finland and Sweden are pretty dissimilar. They, in fact, have a very strong hockey rivalry.
Yeah, they have a strong... so do America and Canada. You can't tell the difference between half of us.
Oh, I think you can.
Come on.
They're a lot nicer.
Are they?
They can go to the doctor. It takes a lot of stress
Ever
off
talk
of
to
your...
a Leafs fan?
Well,
Ever talk to an Eagles fan? It's the same thing.
That's true. They
You
are
said
the
they're
same.
a lot nicer.
They're the
I
same
say
people.
Maple Leafs fans 100% are not.
Yeah.
Honestly, neither are Habs fans.
Yeah, but you can't understand them anyway.
No, I don't talk to them.
It's still around Friday, guys.
Yeah.
No.
much.
So that's that. Kelly,
Yep.
we did a lot of tackling some of the more silly, I thought, like social media controversies yesterday. Like, is the skate actually bad?
Okay, I'm glad you're letting me weigh in on this because
I
I
wanted your-
listened to the show and also I'm terminally online, so I did see all of these things.
Okay.
I don't understand why people think it's bad
Okay.
or in any way damaging. Like, okay,
I don't understand why people think it's damaging.
I'm not a professional athlete. Surprise to all of you, I'm sure.
You do a lot of like stuff though.
The hardest thing that I have done in my life, physically and mentally, like a physical, the stupid Broad Street run. I hate every second of it. I hate every inch of the 10 miles. The entire time I'm saying to myself, why are you doing this? You don't have to do this. No one's making you do this. I hate it. At the end, nothing feels better. And I can guarantee you that every one of these guys, when they're laying on the ice, half dead, nothing feels better to them than getting through that death skate. I think mentally it's actually good. Like, doing hard things is good for you mentally. Like, a thing that you don't want to do that you know is going to be difficult and you know is going to like hurt you physically, but you mentally push your way through it. The feeling at the end of that is quite good. And so, like, in a way, I kind of get why Tortorella does it. Like, I do think that
I totally get why he does it. Yeah.
it makes you feel better at the end of it. So, like,
You know, it would feel even better not doing it at all.
no, I don't. I just disagree. Like, I
That's just
don't
like
know.
not professional athletics.
I do a lot. Like, I don't know. I feel like when I do something hard that I don't want to do, and I accomplish it, that feeling at the end is very good. Like, more people should try to do things they don't think that they can do.
It allows me to justify so much of my then unhealthy behavior.
Right.
So I can double down on this. I'm
Yeah.
drinking 2 30s this weekend.
Exactly.
I ran one
Bill,
time.
I don't think that's the right
Yeah,
mentality.
probably not, Charlie.
Like, Jamie Drysdale might have treated himself to like some McDonald's or something after yesterday's session because he felt really
I
good
just,
about
like,
what happened.
I just thought the idea that, like, well, this is just another example of why you don't want to play for Tortorella. I think there are players who probably have absolutely justifiable reasons for being like, yeah, I just don't think I need to play for John Tortorella.
And I agree
I
with
think
you.
there's some real reasons for that. A hard first day of training camp tells me I don't want you.
You were when you said that yesterday, I was in
That's
my
all.
car listening, and I was like, yes.
I obviously don't agree with that because I made the other argument yesterday. I think that all of it does, you can't separate one element of the Tortorella experience. It all comes together in the, from afar, people looking at what it means to play for John Tortorella and saying, yeah, I don't know if I want to deal with that whole thing. And this is part of that whole thing.
I mean, the whole package I could see an argument for, but if it's just like, I don't want to do a bag skate one time in a season, like
that's wimpy. To be
Yes,
sure.
go away.
To be sure.
Exactly.
Yes, yeah.
And I was very happy, which we'll get into in a little bit, your training camp article. You have just been pumping out the content to the point I like go back to allphly.com to read the thing I was reading last, and it's behind something.
Yeah, there's another
I'm
thing
like, oh, gee, what is he doing? I can't keep up with this
Best in
content.
the business.
Slow down. But yeah, so allphly.com, read all this. But I was very happy to read in your article, the training camp one, Jared Bednar does it too.
Yes. Well, did.
Did it.
Did it.
I want to know if he
So
went
do
back
I.
to doing
The
it.
way that Eric
Do
Johnson...
the DMVR guys know?
The way that Eric Johnson explained it, Eric Johnson obviously wasn't on their team last year.
Yeah.
Because he signed elsewhere. But the way Eric Johnson explained it was they won the Stanley Cup finally. And then he gave them a pass that next year.
Yes.
Because they finished the season at
They
the end of
finished
June.
in like July.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they finished the season at the end of June, and you were like, okay, you won the cup. You don't have to do the crazy hard skate.
Seems fair.
And Eric Johnson then basically presented it as, I don't think they do it anymore. I think he may have retired it.
Well,
I mean,
They did it the year they won the
I was
Stanley
going to
Cup.
say it got them someplace.
Yeah.
And like you said yesterday, Nate McKinnon loves that.
Nate McKinnon's
his
probably
favorite day of the year.
Yes, he's probably doing it on his own
Yes.
because the coach discontinued it.
Probably.
But it was funny to note, though. Jared Bednar was in the Columbus system and probably learned it from John Tortorella.
100%.
Yes.
It's clearly
And-
Torts' thing.
Yeah.
And I wonder, because we talked that it used to be the 6 reps and now it's the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Bednar did the 6, and I wonder if Tortorella was like, mine's going to be the
mine's
hardest.
gonna be harder.
My camp is the hard. It's not as hard as Jared Bednar's camp. It's the harder camp.
Yes.
Right.
2 more reps now.
Could be part
Because
of
I
it.
hate odd numbers.
Could be part of it.
That would be.
Yeah.
No odd
You can't
numbers.
do 7. That would be silly.
That's sick.
We're doing 8.
That'd be
The whole thing I just thought was kind of like, yes, I do. I like John Tortorella because, one,
The content is endless. Endless content.
he helps pay my bills.
Yes.
I very much appreciate John Tortorella, the content monster that he is. And I do think there is value to having him at the helm right now. I probably agree that there's reasons not to want to play for him. If that's one of them,
Yeah, this isn't
you're not tough enough.
I would agree with you that if a player is making a free agent decision and the final thing that chooses them to not sign with the Flyers is, I don't want to do the bag skate. I agree. That is stupid, and they are not tough enough. However, I do think that the overarching Tortorella experience, of which this is a not insignificant part, I do think may play a role in some free agents or some people, that you could trade for, but then would have to sign an extension, being like, I'd rather not have that in my life.
No, like when everyone, is counting down, oh, maybe we can bring back Giroux. And if Giroux's sitting there, he's like my age. He's like, dog, I'm about to be like 37 years old. Because it'll be next year.
Right.
Like, I don't need this in my life. I very much understand being at the end of your career and being like, I'm not playing for John Tortorella. Like, that just seems like something I don't need to do. Also, I don't know. Maybe it's like a bucket list item. Like, you played for the literally insane guy.
There was.
Like, he is the most famous coach of this era, no?
So The Athletic actually did their player poll. They do it every year. This year they did it mostly in, I believe it was summer events that, so mostly star players were at these events. So they used to do, when I was at The Athletic, when The Athletic covered pretty much every single team in the league, we interviewed almost the entire league. Like, I remember I had to get answers from, I think, at least like 10 players on the team, and very strongly hinted that if you didn't get at least 14 or 15, that you would be thought that you're not doing your job well enough. So we got a very large sample of league. This one was much smaller. I think this one ended up being about 30 to 35 players. But they asked the players, who have you not had as your coach that you would want as your coach? And unsurprisingly, John Tortorella did not make like the pie chart, but he did get one vote, and the vote was from, because it was in the article, it was from a Western Conference defenseman, and basically what that defenseman said was, I know this sounds crazy, but I think I might want to play for Torts.
I can see
Kale McCarr.
I can see wanting to be like, you know what? This is a bucket list item.
Some people thrive under intense pressure and kind of like would see it as a badge of honor to be able to
Some
get
of
through
the
it.
players in this league are mentally ill. Like Sidney Crosby,
I mean,
who
who
was
among
born
us?
on 8/7/87, so he'll only make $8.7 million. Like
Yeah, that's
Nathan
real dumb.
McKinnon, who sees a teammate, like sees Ryan Johansson eating Skittles, he's like, "You're off the team." Yeah, like,
Oh my God.
there
That's
are
a fair point.
lunatics.
Skittles are gross.
There are some lunatics in this league.
Yes, I want to read this quote because I remember
Okay.
it was at the very, very end of the article, and it was very funny. We were talking about it in the media room yesterday. Where was it?
Kelly, while he finds this,
Yeah.
what is the Zamula quote that you're saying you were weeping reading?
That he said that he cried when he first got here because he had nobody to talk to because there were no Russians on his team.
Okay. I do. That took on a life of its own. Jordan.
Not here.
I love Jordan, but he should have specified. He was talking about when he came over to play in junior.
yeah, when he first came
Because
here.
some people took that to mean, oh, see, look, the Flyers don't take care of the
Oh,
players.
well-
No, that was because before he turned pro, he came over to play in Calgary for the Hitmen in
Yeah.
the WHL. That was when he really struck.
Yeah.
So this wasn't a crapping on the Flyers.
Oh, no, I didn't think it was. It just
But
made me sad because he seems like a sweet boy.
I think it really captures the idea because we can say it. oh, it's got to be hard. I have no idea. Like,
Yeah. I have no idea.
I've lived within, a few miles of Philly my entire freaking life.
Same.
Yeah. People, my college roommate was from Pittsburgh, and I couldn't understand him.
So here was the quote.
Okay.
The quote was, this is great. This may sound weird, but Torts, said one Western Conference defenseman. I'd like to try Torts. So it's not even that I want to play for him forever. I just want to
I just want to
give it a shot.
So it's
Dying
either
to know who.
like it's either an older guy who's like, I think we jive because yeah, man, I'm blocking all these shots anyway. I
Yeah.
want to be like the captain of the team because he'll like me, or it's a
sicko.
younger
A sicko.
troll Travis Konechny kind of guy who's like, oh, he's the lunatic. I'm gonna mess with him.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
one
yeah.
of-
if I can get under his skin.
It's one of those
I'm
two
gonna be
things.
the guy that breaks Torts. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to wait for that. Let's get to day 2 notes of camp. And these are literally just tweets I pulled off of Charlie's timeline that I found interesting. And then if there's other stuff Charlie wants to talk about, he's free to jump in whenever. The first thing, because a not insignificant amount of time on this show has been dedicated to dumping all over the power play.
Justifiably.
And
it
yeah, I mean, we could just call it inept every single day for an hour, and 12%, it's justified. You tweet today, Torts confirms that the power play was a focus this summer, said that all of Danny Heatley, Patrick Sharp, and John LeClaire, among others, were involved, along with Danny Briere and, of course, power play coach Rocky Thompson. Torts says they're going to have those meetings monthly.
That makes me think of that meme where it's the dragon cartoons, and there's like 2 very serious ones and one goofy
And then
one.
they're side-eyeing
Like-
the drunk-looking dragon. Yeah.
With that group of people, I feel strongly we don't need Rocky Thompson. Like, what's his role there?
What would you say you do here?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, like, you just look at some of these guys, and like Patrick Sharp wasn't like a star player, but he was a very good player for a very good team for a very long time.
he scored some goals.
Danny Heatley, a premier goal scorer.
Scored some
John
goals.
LeClaire, a premier goal scorer.
Yep.
Danny Briere, I mean, talk about a power play guy.
Scored some goals.
Like,
I feel like
they should be able.
Rocky
Thompson,
They
who like
figure it out.
I heard him referenced on, I can't even remember what show recently, but it was a hockey podcast, and it was like someone saying, "Oh yeah, it was like my first professional fight was against Rocky
Against
Thompson,
Rocky,
and he kicked my ass." And it was like, oh, so that's our power play coach.
Power play coach. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like,
Welcome to Flyers hockey.
you're just looking at these guys, and like, I don't know, they should be able to figure something out.
Just make
With
John
this
LeClaire
group
the
of
power play
guys
coach,
who
yes.
made a career on the power play,
Yes.
you should be able to figure something out here.
I would think that they would at least be able to make it so the penalty kill does not score more goals than the power play. Which
It
I feel
was-
like at a bare minimum, like, could we strive for not having that be a close race?
It was a race until like January.
Yeah.
Real close.
It was
Took
a
about
real,
half the season
it
for
was-
the power play
it
to
was-
really take the lead.
It was a real race.
Yeah. So basically
Shouldn't
what
be close.
Tortorella said about this, which I thought was interesting, because the first response I was getting from people on Twitter from this tweet was, just monthly? Shouldn't they be in there every day? Because
Oh,
Rocky
God.
clearly needs the help. Well, here's the thing. Number one, all of those guys have other jobs.
Yeah.
Developmental jobs mostly, but other jobs, other things to do. Danny Briere literally runs the hockey
I swear,
team.
sometimes I feel like people have never had a job before, like
But-
that make these kinds of
yeah,
complaints.
true.
Anyway,
But
yeah.
that's number one. Number two is the fact that, and I thought this was very interesting, it does seem like their role in all of this is going to be more bigger picture things.
Yeah.
Because what Tortorella said, which I thought was interesting, was that one of the main things this group talked about was less about X's and O's and specific plays. It was more about, let's have a conversation about each guy and what his best spot on a
Okay.
power play would be.
Okay.
So it seems like these guys, they're bringing in these, call it in-house consultants, maybe is a good way to put it,
Okay.
in-house consultants. It seems like they're more being asked philosophical questions about, okay, Travis Konechny's going to be on the power play. Where would he be best served stationing?
Below the goal line.
Possibly.
That's the answer.
Behind the net, boys.
Thank you and good
guys
night.
if you guys had your choice, you would have 4 guys lined up behind the net and then one
Let's
defenseman
not
up at
get
the point.
crazy. Maybe
Yes.
2. Maybe 2 guys below the goal line.
Why wouldn't I want everyone close to the net?
Yeah,
You
where
know?
the goalie can't see them.
It's a try the flying V, but from the offensive side.
From the offensive side.
Exactly.
But it does seem like they're going to be more focused on the bigger picture, which is why, even if this was their only job, this is why they're not going to be in daily meetings with Rocky. Look, in the end, what this all boils down to is they trust Rocky Thompson. They believe he is a smart guy who they would be making a mistake to fire him because they believe he is good at what he does and that he is ultimately going to figure this out and be good, either whether he's going to be good at the power play or he's going to have some sort of important role on a successful coaching staff. They believe in him. We will see if they're right, but that is why he is still here. He is still here because they believe in him.
Wild.
I will say, while the power play has been abysmal, it was also terrible the year before he got here.
True.
But while it
Bad
has
for a
been
while.
abysmal under him, the forwards who he, is in charge of, many of them have been really, really good. Just not on the power play.
Just not on the power play, At 5-on-5,
If that's one aspect of his job and he's good at the other three,
Fair.
it's like, well, all right, now that we have Michkov and maybe Drysdale, maybe York steps up, okay, let's see what he can do. I'm willing to go, okay, maybe the players just weren't good enough last year. Also, 12%
It's way too crappy.
that's just so bad.
Yeah.
It's so far below acceptable.
Yeah, I've made the point on the show so many times, and I even saw someone in the comment section saying, there's no way the Flyers had less offensive talent than the Sharks.
Considerably less than the Sharks.
Yeah. The Sharks are around 20%.
Yes.
The Flyers should be around 20%.
It's not
you
even,
look into 17, 18.
That's what I'm saying. It's almost like whatever strategy he's employing is making them worse.
Yeah, it's
at
not
scoring
even.
goals.
It's not even helping. It's actually downgrading.
It's not even like they're just not getting lucky or the players just aren't good enough. It's almost like whatever he's telling them to do is making them actively worse at playing hockey, which boggles the mind.
He's a sub-replacement level power play coach, at least at this point in his power play coaching career.
Yeah.
But we have been impressed, for the most part, by the strides this entire group of forwards has made in the last 2 years.
I would agree. And that's why at the end of last season, my argument was I don't want Rocky Thompson fired. I just don't want him coaching the power play anymore. Hire some other guy. You're the Flyers. You have all the money in the world. You got Comcast behind you. You can hire as many coaches as you want. Keep him coaching the forwards and just hire somebody to be eye-in-the-sky power play guy. And instead, they think he's going to figure it out at some point. I guess we'll see.
There should be more coaches in the sky in hockey, I feel.
I do feel as if
There should be more up there looking at stuff.
the ice level thing, you can't, and I just heard today, them talking about Bradshaw and how he's a genius and the things that he can see right there on the bench and tell you immediately are freaking incredible. But for the most part, sit ice level and sit up high and tell me where you can see better. And I realize they then watch film and break that down to confirm or deny their biases or whatever. But I do think it's an underutilized thing when you look at an NFL coaching booth.
I was going to say they
and
have
how many dudes are up
top,
there.
don't they? Yeah.
I don't know. It does seem like an underutilized thing, but I am willing to somewhat, not completely clean, because again, the power play has been so far below even bad that
that's a really good way to put it.
You can't wipe the slate completely clean, but I'm willing to give this a few months of all right, you have Michkov and Drysdale now. See what you can do.
Yeah.
And now, if you can't turn these guys who, while nowhere near finished products yet, are really talented guys. That's why they're here.
True that.
They're very talented. And the other team, as I stress all the time, has
One
fewer
less guy.
guys.
At least
it's
one.
5 against 4 or 5 against 3 sometimes, which is also they're very bad at.
Yes.
I'm willing to give them some time now, but then if this isn't markedly improved, you have to figure something else out.
Yeah, if it's still trash by December and they're not considering some kind of change, they're completely out of their mind.
Especially if the team, which we're going to get into with Charlie's other article that he wrote, it feels like days ago now, but it was 2 days ago.
Yeah, it was 2 days
ago. Especially if the team doesn't lose a ton of ground in terms of how they started last year.
Right.
If they're basically what they were, they're a try-hard competitive team that's winning more games than you think they would, and they're going to be in the playoff race. If they're that same team, and it's they'd be in the playoffs with an even if the power play was just normal bad, they would be in the playoffs.
True.
Like, then you have to think about doing literally anything
have to,
else. Because this is, I know that we're rebuilding. And at the end of the day, winning is not the number one thing. But these guys are going to have to know how to perform on the power play at some point.
It can't be good
this
for
is
development.
part of their development.
Yeah, it can't be good for development to have the power play be that bad during the formative years of these guys' career.
We can't have
Agreed.
Michkov at 24 starting from scratch on the power play.
Yeah,
like,
no.
that's not a thing
Can't
that
do
we
it.
should be doing. All right. Before we get into some of the stuff Charlie has written this week, it feels like we always have this one right after we talk about the power play because I am then fired up.
Yeah.
And I have to remind everyone that every now and then you have to choose to chill. Listen, last night was the perfect night, honestly, between work, social media, the world. It's no wonder we're just constantly worked up. Coors Light celebrates rising above and choosing a chill mindset. Why not turn a rained-out barbecue into a karaoke house party? Or after a tough loss, settle scores with an ice-cold peace offering. Make the choice to choose chill, then reach for a Coors Light. It's mountain cold refreshment. And listen, this team, they're going to be driving us nuts. This power play, chances are, on all the post games this year, I'm going to be freaking out about it. We've been doing this a long time. I know myself. That's why sometimes I just need to chill. And there's no better way to celebrate that choice to chill than with an ice-cold Coors Light. So whether you're freaking out about, I don't know, Rocky Thompson or the goalies or who Michkov's center is going to be, you need to find the Blue Mountains in your fridge and enjoy a beer as cold as the Rockies. Because when everything surrounding your favorite hockey team is on fire, sometimes you just got to chill. Make the most out of those times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. All right, now this is a fun one because, well, first of all, like I've been a John Marks fan for a long time, and he has told you about Glatt hair restoration for a long time. And I am just real excited to have them on as a partner because now with Glatt hair restoration under the direction of Dr. Morgenstern, a highly respected plastic surgeon, you get the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, same unmatched Glatt hair system, same state-of-the-art location, and the same stellar results because each member of their exceptionally trained team brings 30-plus years of industry experience. Hair restoration is all they do. It's their thing because anyone can just buy some equipment, say they do hair restoration. We sat down with some of the people at Glatt, and they kind of told us, like, this thing started to take off 10, 15, 20 years ago, and a lot of people just kind of started doing it because who doesn't want their hair restored, you know? So, yeah, we do hair restoration, but no one, absolutely no one, compares to Glatt hair because they offer decades of proven results using an innovative approach delivered by leaders in the industry. Glatt hair can help during all stages of hair loss with leading-edge treatments for prevention and restoration, including laser light therapy, non-invasive TED treatments, vitamin supplementation, topical and oral medications, PRP and stem cell restoration, hair restoration surgery, and each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint the best course of treatment because, as they explained to me, not everyone's hair loss is equal. Not everyone is in the same stage of hair loss when they decide they want to get treatment. These are not cookie-cutter treatments. They're individualized to best fit you. Caring patient advocates work with you from first phone call to the last follow-up visit. They understand that this decision can be emotional and challenging. They're here to help make your experience simple and stress-free. Glatt hair isn't just about restoration. It's about innovation. Their breakthrough treatments really do dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional if you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself. Glatt hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit GlattHairMCTR.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started today.
Ew.
All right. Back to, I realized that was just the first of of our training camp notes. The power play, man, it is just...
Once we talk about the power play, I know we're gonna
lose.
I know we're gonna lose 10 minutes because Bill can't help himself.
It's just so maddening. They have less guys. You should score more than you do at 5-on-5, not less. They score less. it's almost impressive. Anyway, this next one, Charlie tweets, they're doing a lot of line juggling, but they do seem intent on getting Michkov out there a lot with Frost. The other wing on that line has rotated more. Perhaps they want to give that tandem a long early look.
I like that.
I like it too.
Yeah.
This is going to be, as we're going to talk about from your one article, like this is another fact-finding season.
Mm-hmm.
It is another, they didn't do much except bring in Michkov, which is huge, I know. But other than that, it's basically the exact same group. John Tortorella reiterated that yesterday.
Yes.
It is, for a number of reasons, this is it for Morgan Frost. Like, his contract is up at the end of this year. Yes, he's only an RFA, but what, are you going to commit to him long term when the coach sits him another 10 games? Like, you can't do that. This now is time for him to prove he can be a consistent point producer in the realm of a very good 2C. And if not, you got to figure something else out. I like giving him this opportunity. Ultimately, no, I don't want Morgan Frost playing with Matvei Michkov. I want a superstar playing alongside Matvei Michkov.
That would be nice.
Yeah, but for right now, I like this a lot.
I mean, not even just for Frost. If they're going to be cowards and not give us Jet Luchenko out of the gate.
Ooh, Kelly coming in
Cowards.
hot.
I mean, this I think is also the best for Michkov because like we criticize Morgan Frost a lot for sometimes good reason, but he can make some like real saucy passes. And he seems to see the ice really well.
It's true.
And so the idea of him having Michkov to pass to could be pretty good. So, I mean, I like it. I mean, like, who are you going to put him with Couturier? Like,
Those are the two options.
yeah, I don't.
It's
gonna be Paley.
I like the
1C Ryan.
I like the theoretical combination of Couturier and Michkov purely from a hockey IQ standpoint.
Well,
I
yeah.
will say that Michkov Frost, at least at first glance, seems more fun in terms of
absolutely.
the plausible upside because Frost is a creative passer. Michkov is a scorer at heart. It could be very fun. He wasn't the only guy on the line. Technically, what the line was at least what they ran before the scrimmages started. It was Tippett on the left, Frost in the middle, Michkov on the right. However, because that group had, I believe it was 11 forwards, they had to keep them rotating. Okay. So Sawyer Bolton was like the extra guy in that group. So because of that, they were rotating the lines. But even as they rotated the lines, you were seeing a lot more. I think you were seeing a lot more of Michkov Frost than you were seeing Michkov Tippett. So that tells me that, like, look, we know they love Owen Tippett. They signed to a big contract, but the duo they're trying to look at here is Michkov Frost. That is the one that they came into camp because this is something that you always hear the first day when they show the line combinations. You will hear the coach say, don't read too much into it. These aren't going to be the lines first game of the year. And that is true.
Maybe.
It is 100% true that usually the lines you see that first day of camp are not the lines that they use the first game of the season. However, just because they're not the lines you see the first day of camp, the first game of the year, does not mean the first day of camp lines are not important. Because what they do show is going into camp, what did they spend 2 months thinking about what they wanted to see?
Yeah.
Who do they like going into camp? Who do they not like as much going into camp? That's why the line combos to start camp are important because these guys had months to talk about what do we want to see our first look at Michkov? Who do we want to see him with? And they decided the first guy they want to see him with is Morgan Frost, and that is notable.
I get your point about Couturier and the hockey IQ because, like, obviously Couturier's hockey IQ is like off the charts. Yeah. But I worry, like, I don't want anything to slow Michkov down at all. And, like, listen, I love Sean Couturier, but when he was 22, he wasn't fast. So, like, you know.
To me, I think they could both. Michkov could benefit playing with both of them.
And he probably
It's
will.
just kind of, I'm
Different
sure.
ways.
Yeah. Like, we talked last week maybe about, is he going to be more, especially young, like a scorer or a distributor? And to me, it's, if he's on a line with Couturier, he's going to be finding Couturier in the slot a lot. That's going to be kind of that dynamic. Whereas I I want to see the Mad Russian do Mad Russian stuff, and that's working off give and goes with Morgan Frost, and ultimately taking the puck to the net himself. Like Charlie said, more fun. But I think he could benefit playing either way.
Yeah.
The thing I'm more concerned about, though, is the other wing. Like, I think either center is fine. I just don't love Tippett because I feel like Tippett and Michkov are too similar.
I like Forster.
I don't
on
think
that
they're
line.
similar much, but I do think that Tippett needs the puck a lot and he shoots a lot. I don't know if I want them,
those two competing for
for shots.
That said, like, I want Tyson Forster to shoot just as much. So,
Fair.
like, I guess at a certain point, he's going to have to pass.
I mean, I gotta be honest with you.
Only
Like,
one puck.
Yeah.
if we're starting to have a problem with like, oh no, too many of our guys shoot the puck all the time and try to score goals. This is a problem. Like, if that's where we're headed, like, I'm very pleased.
I don't know.
about
Yeah,
the way
Sam Carchidi,
things
and they
are
still
going.
need a sniper.
They need Patrick Laine more than anything.
Yep.
So I
exactly.
just picture, like the puck comes loose down low, and maybe it's Couturier, maybe it's Frost, whoever. And all of a sudden, Tippett and Michkov are both at the opposite blue line.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now it's 5-on-3. Like, he better thread this pass.
The reason why I really don't sweat this too much is that
minor.
we know that coaches change the lines up all the time. Ultimately, Michkov is going to get time with Frost, and he's going to get a lot of time too with Couturier. And they're going to find out by trial and error which one works better, who he has more chemistry with. And maybe he has equal chemistry, and they just bounce him up and down depending upon who they want Michkov to get going on a given week or
fair.
whatever. So I don't sweat it too much, but it's still interesting because it showed. It's not interesting for me because I think that, well, they're just going to have him stapled to Morgan Frost all year. No coach will do that unless they are the best duo since Gagne and Forsberg. Then no, they're not going to break them apart. But I don't think that's likely. The reason why it's interesting is
like that
because
idea.
of what it says about Morgan Frost.
Still need a Knuble.
They're giving Morgan Frost the opportunity to play with Michkov, and I think it speaks to their hopes and expectations for Morgan Frost this year. I think it's interesting in that sense.
I believe they're doing it so all of a sudden he has like 72 points.
And then they
And then
trade.
they
And then
trade
they're
him.
able to trade him.
I mean,
Okay.
if that happens, like, it probably won't be that bad.
Could be worse.
Some good stuff.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
It's like, we finally have a center. No, we don't. We
No,
traded
we
him.
don't.
We got to make room for
Now we have
Chetlichenko. This other part, Kelly, like the first thing she says to me when she got here is like, you know who I'm just real tired of talking about? Ronnie Attard. I mean,
Oh,
Ronnie
you might not be talking about it much
Yeah.
longer.
Well done.
Ronnie Attard.
Thank you for your service.
This is Charlie's tweet. Ronnie Attard beginning camp on a pair with Carter Southern, who has no chance of making the team, doesn't exactly speak well for his start of camp standing. We'll see if that's who he's with in the scrimmage in 30 minutes. Was it who he was with in the scrimmage?
He bounced around. Again, you have multiple players.
Yeah.
You have an uneven number. So it wasn't like he was just with Carter Southern. But let me put it this way. It wasn't like he was regularly cycling in with his partner being one of the clear-cut NHLers. He was very obviously in the bottom half of that rotation. He's no longer waiver exempt. This is a big camp for him in terms of, and I'm not saying he's going to get claimed. I'm just saying that when Yegor Zamula was in the same position last camp, they basically gave him a spot. It does not appear they are doing that for Ronnie Attard, which tells me that internally they ain't that high on him.
No one's taking him.
And that's we did this with Wade Allison last year. And it was like, yeah, and then he cleared, and then we got rid of him.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I think he might be at least starting camp. Like, is that what we're thinking now? He's the Wade Allison. Like, oh, yeah, he's waiver exempt, and he's probably a pro, but I don't know. He does nothing for us. We don't love. It's just we're not in love with him.
I don't get the sense they view him as part of the plan. That said, he can force himself into the plan. That's the great part about training camp is that guys can change the opinions of the organization if they play well enough. But I don't get the sense, like I think I said this on a show. I might have said this on a video. I don't think Zamula had that great of a camp last year. I think he was decent, but I don't think he banged the door down. I think they came into camp with the opinion of we need to give this guy a shot because we like the skill set enough and we don't want to lose. We don't want to risk losing him for nothing. This is his chance, and we're giving it to him. Well, I don't know if they were thinking that far ahead with Michkov because they didn't know when Michkov was coming.
Fair.
I like to hope they knew the whole time.
I do not think they knew the whole time. But you guys can believe it if you want. My point is, that we saw them set the standard to how to treat no longer waiver exempt defensemen last year with Zamula. With Attard, they are not, at least based on today, they are not giving him that same treatment. That tells me their view of him is, you got to go out here and change our minds. Otherwise, you're probably getting waived and you're probably going down to the minors and you might not be part of it.
And did you see anything out of him?
I thought he played pretty well.
He did look good?
I like Ronnie Attard. I like the skill set. I think he plays an interesting style, especially given the fact that he is a 6'3" right-handed shooting defenseman who can skate decently well with a good shot. I like the skill set. I do not get the sense the Flyers are particularly enamored with him. I thought he was pretty solid in the scrimmage. I thought he made some plays, jumped up in the neutral zone a few times, had some decent passes. I thought he was fine. But I thought Wade Allison was fine in last year's camp, and they didn't care.
I like traits of Ronnie Attard from what I've seen of him.
Yeah, the idea of Ronnie Attard.
The idea of Ronnie Attard
is very appealing.
Is a lot of fun. But my lasting impression of Ronald from last season in the 12 games he played, 42 total shot attempts, 14 on net.
He misses a lot.
He needs a GPS to find the net. And listen, I get lost going everywhere, so I understand needing GPS, but you can see the net, right? Like, maybe we need to get him some, like, Wild Thing Vaughn glasses.
You're thinking Wild Thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Charlie Sheen is
Get him a
Major
washing
League.
machine to put in his basement that he can shoot at all day.
Like, you can have the biggest shot in the world, and if all you're doing is breaking the glass with it, I don't really see a point of you being out there. And that's really my top impression of him. But he is a guy who, we said yesterday, dudes who just do stuff for fun, and he takes penalties, he throws his body around, he takes shots, he does stuff, and that's fun to watch.
He plays a very aggressive style, and I'm not just talking about physically. He's always attacking.
He is.
I like Ronnie Attard. I just do not get the sense of the organization. Like, for example, I think the organization, based on today and based on everything I've heard, I think they are higher on Adam Schitting than Ronnie Attard. I do. I think they are.
Interesting.
And I think we got that impression a little last year because watching both of them, it was like, oh, they're both doing some stuff out there. And then, like, the post games and whatever quotes would come out, and it would be like, oh, yeah, Ronnie looked good, and, man, Schitting is just competing his ass off out. Like, it seemed in the games they got into, they liked Schitting more, even though it was like, I don't know, he was on defense a lot. It's like, yeah, but did you see him defending?
I believe Attard played more games. So it's a weird thing where there's almost an element of, on some level, we know that Attard is better, but we just like Schitting more.
Yeah.
I hate that. Makes me upset. I hate that because it does seem like that a lot of times, and I don't know if it's just Torts or if it's all three of them together have this weird thing, but I feel like once he's decided a thing about a guy, there's pretty much nothing that guy can do to change the opinion. For example, he decided about Morgan Frost, and even though Morgan Frost played a lot better in the second half of the season, he was still scratched in the game that they kind of needed to win in order to try to make the playoffs. I wish that they weren't so like, once they close the book is closed with some of these guys.
But in fairness, again, this is one of those, it's not a bug, it's a feature.
Yeah.
What they are paying John Tortorella to do is to determine who's got it and who doesn't. And maybe John Tortorella has just decided that Ronnie Attard don't got it. And look, I'm not saying John Tortorella is the end-all, be-all of deciding whether players got that dog in him or not, but the Flyers certainly seem to think he is.
They do.
So,
and at the end of the day, whether we're talking about Attard or Schitting, who cares?
Yeah, I don't know.
Fair point. Fair point.
Are either
Where
of them,
are either of them going?
I hope they compete. I hope they continue to get better. I hope they push Igor Zamula and all that. But like, even throw Zamula, I like some of the things Zamula does. These guys are third pair dudes at best.
Zamula is very important this year because of the Michkov factor.
Absolutely.
I think that is going to be his most important role for this season. Yes.
Absolutely.
On the ice, whatever.
Absolutely.
Just don't get killed, dude.
Off the ice, yeah. Like, very, very important in terms of
professional best friend.
Bringing making sure our savior is happy. Yeah. You know, that's very, very important. But I know you need a third pair. If the Flyers had a third pair in 2010, we wouldn't be coming up on year 50 without a cup.
Fair point.
But, like, these guys are, if they pan out, are going to be third pair guys.
Yeah, whatever.
I
dude.
just don't care.
The Phantoms need defensemen too.
Yeah, they do. They certainly do. All right, Charlie. Let's get to your state of the franchise article that I wanted to get to yesterday. And
As you just one every year. It's a long one. But,
Really good. Great stuff. The first thing I want to point out.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I love reading Charlie's writing.
He's such a good writer.
Retroactive mirage in describing what we could be in a few weeks looking back
At
on
last year.
last season
So
as. It wasn't a retroactive mirage. Like, can we? All right, yeah, man. They got really good goaltending. Like
For half of the year.
Up until it happened. Like their start to the year where it was like, oh my god, is this team making the playoffs? It's like, yeah, man. They got goaltending they don't have anymore. The defense played over their head, and one of those guys is gone. Like, all that stuff. Maybe it was just fake.
Couturier went from 1C to 4C.
Like, is Couturier able to play at all? He was really good to start the year, and then it just went away. And post all those things happening is who they actually are. Mm-hmm. There's no way of us knowing that until this season gets underway. But you're right. The assumption is that the Philadelphia Flyers will at least be competitive and stay in the postseason hunt. But will they? When you look at the roster replacements, there is a real possibility because, like, last year was, the sum is greater than the parts or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not as if we're replacing superstars here. No. Yes, Carter Hart was good. He was good last year. He wasn't winning the Vezina.
True. Very true.
And, like, a big part of how good the goaltending was simply Ersson and he were able to split the starts enough that they both were getting ample rest.
Ersson was also
They were both very fresh.
During that period,
and then when that wasn't happening, it went to hell.
Yes.
If Fedotov can just be normal, if he can not freaking suck, if he can play goal better than this team power plays, like we will be probably okay in that department.
Just be average.
Yeah.
That's all we need from you.
Is there a world where these two are above average? Like, we get really good goaltending out of them the way we got really good goaltending last year.
I don't know why it seems like people are kind of like going into the season assuming that the goaltending is going to be a problem. And I think while none of us know, if I had to guess, I would think it's going to be at worst fine. Like, I don't have any reason to believe that with an even split, something approaching an even split, Sam Ersson can be what he was in the first half of last season. And I know nothing about Ivan Fedotov. I'm not going to pretend I've ever watched a KHL game in my life. I do, however, know that his numbers weren't bad. They were pretty good overall. He had a couple of down seasons, I think, but for the most part, they're pretty good. So, like, obviously he knows how to play goal. Like, he can do the things. Can he do them against NHL talent? I don't know. Maybe. But I feel like the possibility is certainly there. Like, I just don't know why people are so down on it.
Well, I think the possibility is absolutely there. I won't go as far as you in saying that, like, my expectation is that they're going to be average. They
how I do, Charles.
They could be average. That's certainly possible. They could be above average. It's possible. Like, Sam Ersson, if he's the guy from the first half and Fedotov is just decent, that's an above average goaltending tandem because Sam Ersson in the first half was significantly above average. And if he delivers that type of results in a number one, bulk of the time type of role, that's an above average goalie pair. I do see worlds where it could be bad. I think so. I'm not going to go as far as you. But to answer your question, the reason why there are some people that are very down on the goalies, and it's kind of human nature, it's because the last time people saw both of these guys, they stunk.
Well,
Ersson had a bad final 2 months, and Fedotov appeared in 2 games, and the second of those 2 games, he was awful. And there are a lot of people who that just sticks in their brains. And this is, again, a big reason why at the end of the year, I was saying, don't play Kolosov, don't play Fedotov. They're not ready. And you guys are like, no, play them. What's the worst that could happen? The worst that could happen is they stink, and then 6 months later, a lot of people still think they stink because they were thrown into a situation where they had no chance of success.
Well, context.
I'm just saying.
And not even me, because I knew what the situation was and was like, I'm not going to judge them on this. They were not good, but I understand. But if the worst case scenario is people like me saying dumb stuff, that to me,
fair.
that's of zero consequence.
I assume Ivan's not listening to this English
Ivan
language
personally
podcast.
makes my life more annoying.
I realize that for you.
Yeah.
I realize that for you. I just think, like, I'm going to tell you right now, any Flyers players who are listening to this show, the rest of the audience stay and then watch all the videos, the clips we do after the show, watch Charlie's practice videos. Any Flyers players watching the show, do literally anything else right now. Don't listen to us. You gain nothing from this.
Just so you know, we do like you.
Or you're like, I'm really pulling for you. I'm gonna say a lot of
like you a
ridiculous
lot.
things, but rooting for you.
I just
You
think that-
gain nothing from this stuff.
I just think that if you're wondering where the negativity comes
I
from,
get what you're
where
saying.
the negativity comes from is that Fedotov did not, like, if you look at his numbers from last year in an extremely small sample, but if you look at his numbers in the NHL, they're real bad. And then if you look at Ersson's end of season numbers, they're real bad because he got ran into the ground over the second half. People look at those numbers and they say these goalies are probably going to stink. I don't share that kind of pessimism, but I understand why people would have that pessimism because, number one, the last impression they had was bad. Number two, the full season numbers that they can look at on Elite Prospects or wherever look real bad.
I think for me personally, like, I am just going into the goalie situation going, I have no freaking idea.
That's kind of where I'm at.
We're gonna
And,
see.
like, it's a total coin flip.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a coin flip. I think it's because I do think decently high of Sam Ersson.
Yeah.
Fedotov, I truly have no idea.
I like the makeup of Sam Ersson. I want to see what he can do. Like, I think he deserves the opportunity. I just have no idea. And when it comes to not knowing about goaltending in Philadelphia, I think a lot of people just go, oh, well, I know
That's
how this
true.
is going to
We
go.
do have
That's
some
fair.
PTSD.
But, like, we do have, like,
Yeah.
listen, who even knew who Bobrovsky was going into that camp?
Nobody.
Yeah.
Roman Czechmanek at 29. Like,
Nobody.
there are some examples of guys just coming out of nowhere. So perhaps. All right, the next, like, then looking at a straight, basically, substitution from last year to this year. Sean Walker out, Jamie Drysdale in.
Yeah.
Now the team.
Drysdale was on a pairing today with Nick Seeler. Unsurprising.
Yes, we've talked about that
Has
since
to
they
work.
got him here.
I know it didn't, but I feel like it
just-
has to.
Like it has to.
It just makes so much sense.
With an
does.
unbroken Jamie Drysdale, I'm
Yeah.
really, really rooting for that to work.
I know that so much, like that pair and Sean Walker, especially, like when they lost Sean Walker, the wheels really fell off. Also, things were starting to fall apart while they still had Sean Walker. It's more than just the scoring, like just the ability to orchestrate a breakout
Yes.
competently. But you look at Sean Walker's numbers in Philly last year: 6 goals, 22 points in 63 games. That should be replicable.
That was always my thing. Like, Sean Walker is not some, like, singular talent
He
that you
did.
can't replace.
In those
The
60
underlying numbers were really good.
the underlines
Yes,
were really
he was
good.
Like, there's no getting around it.
And even just some of the counting stats, like 98 blocks and 86 hits in 63 games. That's really good too.
He was good.
He was a very effective player.
It's Sean Walker.
But Sean Walker is not a superstar.
No.
It shouldn't be. Well, got nothing now.
I mean, if you're talking-
Jamie Drysdale should be able to do
If
this.
you're talking about purely like offensive numbers, I will be disappointed if Jamie Drysdale, if he plays a full
Sure.
season, doesn't outscore Sean
yes.
Walker because he's got more offensive ability. I do wonder if he can provide the kind of 5-on-5 play driving stability that Walker did because that was really good.
Well, I mean, maybe with time.
Maybe.
He's very young.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say that if Jamie Drysdale can't approach replacing Sean Walker, we do have kind of a big problem. Because it's, again, Sean Walker.
And that's the
I just think Walker was
He was
Walker-
very good
I think
here.
he was better than you're giving him credit for.
I don't know, because I'm giving him credit. I feel like he was a product of the team and the coaching. And it's not like his singular ability is what made him that good. He was never that good before, and he probably won't be that good again. So, like, I don't see any reason why they can't replicate it with a guy that has a similar skill set.
That is an optimistic way to look at it, and I respect the optimism.
Thanks.
I respect, even though he had that arduous rehab process, he put in some work. Jamie Drysdale did. We talked about
But
it
he got some
yesterday.
gains.
Some gains.
The man put on 18
You
pounds.
love to see it.
That's pretty impressive. It's Mertitas today was like, seems like it's in his upper body. It looks like he has bulked up, and for a guy with the abdomen and shoulder issues we're going to want him.
Yes.
We're going to need him to win some battles. Yes, I want him to be a high-flying, really fun guy to watch, but end of the day, if you're not also winning battles and doing some of those little things that Sean Walker could do, you are going to be a third-pair defenseman who's just a power play specialist. We need more than that from the guy we got for Cutter Gauthier, and it looks as if he's working towards that. I think that's another one where Sean Walker was incredibly effective.
Yeah.
Jamie Drysdale should at least be able to approach that, paired with Nick Seeler, who also had a very good year last year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe that's part of the Sean Walker thing. Like, those two just were such a great compliment that they were able to each really do what they do well.
Yes.
But I gotta believe a dude taken 6th overall just a few years ago can be Sean Walker.
Still only 22.
Yeah.
Yes. And again, hurt the entire time he was here.
Yes.
So, like, we've never really seen anything from Jamie Drysdale.
I am going to, by the time the season actually begins, I'll have wiped the slate clean with Jamie Drysdale.
Excellent.
I still have a little of last year, and I'm doing my best to get rid of that.
I love that for
because
you.
I know he was hurt. But I do believe by October, was it 11th, 12th?
Yeah.
We will be at 0 with Drysdale, and I will be able to go from there.
Okay.
The only real other replacement, Eric Johnson for Mark Stahl.
Upgrade.
Who cares?
Whatever.
And then, of course, the major addition, Matvei Michkov.
Yes.
In the aggregate,
He good.
this goalie tandem, Drysdale for Walker, and the addition of Matvei Michkov, they have to be as good talent-wise as they were last year, no?
Yeah, I don't perceive a talent gap between last year and this year. Because, again, the things started to fall off the rails when Walker left. And I think you said yesterday that Tortorella pointed out that, like, he didn't adjust the way that they were playing after Walker left in order to accommodate for the fact that they couldn't do the rush the way that they were doing it with him. So, like,
That was part of it. Yeah.
I just think that, like, what we saw the first half of last season, it went on for long enough that I don't think it was a fake. Like, I don't think that that was them outplaying themselves so much that it's not replicable. Like Bill said, some better than parts, but I just don't, this like perceived talent gap, I don't really see it.
No,
if anything, I think they're better this year.
And they continue to drive play. That's something, like, usually if you're looking at a team that played over their heads, you go to the underlying numbers. You're like, okay, did you outshoot the other teams at 5-on-5? Did you outchance them? Those types of metrics. The Flyers were a legitimately good 5-on-5 team in reality. Not just, oh, we were relying on our goalie. We were shooting the lights out. They did not shoot the puck that well, and they got awful goaltending in the second half of the year. The only reason why they hung around, despite those things, is because they had a 12% power play.
Yeah.
The only reason why they hung around is because they were good at 5-on-5, and that tends to be a sustainable skill, which does give me confidence that they can keep this up.
And this is why I think, like, while Tortorella, and we even kind of made it a joke yesterday when he referenced PDO, like, I think he is trying to kind of get across a little bit. We were better than the team that lost 9 out of 11. It was just like we couldn't finish, and the goalies were bad.
Yeah.
So, like, what are you gonna? You can't score, and you can't stop anyone from scoring.
It's very
and
true.
obviously,
That's not
those are the
good.
2 points of the game.
Yeah.
But like, it's not as if we weren't doing the things that we had done all year. They just stopped working to the extent that they worked for the previous 6 months.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, and before we wrap up today's show, I just want to thank all of the diehards out there. Very much appreciate everything our diehards do for us. And if you're not one, what the hell are you doing? Go to allphly.com, sign up to be a diehard right now. And Charlie, like, the substitutions, bringing guys in, it really is like the Coots question, and then how much better did Brink, Forster, York, and Cates get? And, like, is there another level for Owen Tippett? Which Farabee do we see?
Yeah.
Like, it's really the guys that are here.
Yeah.
What kind of gains did they make?
And then obviously, you know, and I mentioned this in the piece, in the State of the Franchise piece, the big thing too, and we'll bring it back to what is always the main topic. If Michkov is real good right off the jump, a lot of this stuff ain't going to matter.
Yeah.
Because then suddenly it's like, oh, you have this great player who makes everybody better because he's a great player immediately. I don't know if he's going to be great right off the jump. But if he is, then it might not matter if Jamie Drysdale doesn't replace Sean Walker, because now you've got a point-per-game guy running your power play, and you're going to make the playoffs because of that.
A truly dynamic forward. Like, if it's that, like the other stuff can be worse. And it's like, but that's so much better. It doesn't matter. But the way you wrapped it up, Charlie, at its core, the 2024-25 season is still a fact-finding mission for Briere and company. And that's what it is. Like, all these questions, I guess, is this the final? Like, how much more of a sample size do you think Tortorella needs? Like, this is now year 3 with Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee. You have to have your mind made up about who these guys are and, like, what their role in the future is by the midway point of this season, no?
That, and also I feel like this summer is the summer that Briere's got to start making moves, like to build a team that's able to compete.
I will say that a lot of the moves they made, namely re-signing Travis Konechny, do hint at them thinking they can turn this around quicker than maybe they have publicly let on. By the same token, we did talk to John Tortorella on Thursday, and he straight up said, we didn't make any ads because we don't have any money, and we're not going to have any money next summer either. So I don't know what they're going to do. They will have, at least right now, they have 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks. They will have the ammunition that if they want to dive headfirst into the trade waters next summer or at the trade deadline or whenever, they can. Will they? I don't know. We'll see.
And that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, you got to hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on YouTube. Set those reminders. Never miss a live show. We're going to be on non-game days here at 4. Don't exactly have a plan yet for the pre- and post games for preseason because I don't know if these games are going to be televised. So we're going to figure that all out. But you'll never miss a live show if you set those reminders for YouTube right here. Also, follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers and follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. Yeah, hit that like button. Exactly. All right. My name is Bill Matz. That's Charlie O'Connor. That's Kelly Hinkle. Until next week, you stay loose and sexy, Philly.
We all silly like the mayor.